time of the week again. Prepare yourself for the surveyors of sauce, the sultans of spaghetti, the whispers in your ears. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the What's Your Spaghetti Policy podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Jacob.
Always really bad with introductions, so we'll start off with, do you prefer Nate or Nathan?
Yeah, everybody calls me Nate or just Perky.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what a unique last name. Like, I told Jacob and he was like, what a fun name.
It is a fun last name to say. I was saying Purkeypile. And it's, of course, I have the Southern accent
drawl.
Yeah, Southern drawl. So it's like I love turkeys though, man.
What's the origins of that last name?
It was originally German. It was like Birkenbile or something like that. I mean, it's like a hill with birch trees or something. And someone was like, "Oh, we're gonna Americanize it." I'm like,
That's beautiful.
Sure you did. Blends right in.
Yeah. My last name is Osborne, and like the roots of it is like Divine Bear. And it's just like, yeah, that's cool.
I want to look up what is mine. I want to know what mine is.
Brian, that's just something lame.
It's just something lame, stupid. It's like,
but welcome to the show. Obviously, anytime we can get somebody new on the show is always super exciting. But your list of bona fides is quite impressive. I guess I should preface it. You are now an indie game developer. You used to work for the big companies, or company, I should say. So let's see here: Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 76, Metroid Prime 3. Well, I'm missing one.
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4. Aeon Flux, Blood Rain. Was Blood Rain your first one?
I mean, technically I had like a summer internship before that, but I made like 50 games that are all tiny and no one has ever heard of them. And like Blood Rain was the first like real game, I'd like to say.
That was your first like paid gig?
I mean, I got paid at my internship, but it was like solitaire and random crap like that. Like I probably don't even remember all of the things that I worked on at that internship. Now, you've been in the industry for 20 plus years, correct? Yeah, I think it's like over 21 now.
Man, that's impressive. So take us back. Let's start. You don't have to start the conception here or anything, but like take us back to how did you decide, or like when was it that you were like, you know what, I'm gonna do video games? Because I think everybody that like plays video games always has that idea of like that dream of like, dude, like I could make a game, I could do this. This would be awesome. Then like when you get into the weeds of it, like I'm like fascinated with like game development and like just the trials and tribulations and like how much actual fucking work it takes to make one, and like the fact that any of them exist and like that ever get like made is like crazy. But like then once you see you can make a game and like it works, and like literally one thing you change on the back end and it like crashes the whole thing. So like I mean
very true. Yeah.
And so like how when was it, like take us back to your childhood of like when you decided like, okay, this might be a career option for you?
It was very, very early. Like in third grade, I started programming on the Apple IIc, and very much was like that kind of person, like, oh, I want to make video games. But I was serious about it and like was actually making lots of games like every day. Damn, and kept stuck with it and like made mods for Half-Life and stuff. Went to college for game art and got a job.
That was like when I was growing up, right? My thing is I wanted to do something with computers as well. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I want to do like computer science because that sounds like something to deal with computers. And then I got into computer science and I was like, this isn't what I was thinking at all. Like, this is not, I wanted to like make computers. I didn't want to like code computers. So,
right.
I mean, I get that because I was like a programmer originally, but I kind of decided I hated it when it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. So I switched to art, actually. Like I went to art college.
Damn, hell yeah. It's like, I think the farthest I got with it was C++. And that was like, like basics, computer science 101, baby. It was like C++. I think I took the second course in computer science, but then I don't remember anything from it. I know they started talking about something other than C++, and it was like, that sounds like another language, man, I can't do that. So
I'm
But
sure that you have a good perspective on like how being in the industry for like 20 years, how much it's changed and how much more it is now more accessible for people to make games. I mean, you have stuff like I even dabbled in like Game Maker at one point just to see like what I could do, but like, you know, it just seems like there are plenty like way more options now to just like sort of teach yourself and sort of like jump in and do that.
Yeah, there's like a massive knowledge base out there. It's way easier. You can like have all these YouTube videos and stuff, not like copying code out of the back of a magazine anymore.
Even though that like all that stuff is available and it's easier and like the knowledge is there and the resources there, do you find that that makes it kind of harder?
I mean, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're just trying to make something, I think that's easier. But if you're trying to succeed, that's another matter. Like people talk about how many games are released on Steam, but like realistically, a lot of those are kind of hobby projects and not
Yeah.
super serious.
I'm just thinking about like, because that's what, yeah, you talk about all the games that get released on Steam, and I'm thinking about like the ones that have come out recently. Like me and my wife and my son have been playing Repo that just came out, and there's Repo, there's like Lethal Company, there's Phasmophobia, there's all these like other like I would call them indie games just because like, you know, they don't come from like the big box store, game
Publisher.
developers, whatever the hell they're called, but it's like I would imagine that there's probably 100 of those games that come out, but it just for some reason the ones that get peaked out like Repo, it's like streamers start playing and like holy shit, it's a lot of fun. And so like it's insane to me. Like it feels to like what Alex was saying. Like it feels like there's a plethora of knowledge out there. I feel like it would make it hard just because you don't know where to start and like where to go with it. You know, like whereas whenever you're first starting, you know, like whenever you were coming up in the industry, it was like, hey, you know, everybody develops their games like here or whatnot. I don't know how it was whenever you were first starting out, but
Uh, I mean, but back then you would have to like get a job to do that, and you had to worry about like physical distribution and stuff. That was back before Steam.
oh
Like
geez, yeah, dude,
there was no way that the games could have existed at that point in time. Like
damn.
they had these E3 was all about like selling to the distributors and stuff, like
Yeah.
talking to the Walmart rep and stuff like that. And yeah, very, very different. So I like the fact that anybody can ship a game now. Like that has allowed me to go independent, even though Steam takes like a 30% cut. That's nice versus like literally not being able to do it probably.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I recently have gotten into like doing my own comic books, and so I've got that in that same vein where like there's all these crowdfunding sources that you can now do this thing, which then like you now having the ability to like make a thing is great, but then with that all that accessibility then comes with like, well, everybody can do it. So now, you know, it's a give and take. Like now that it's there, more people can do it, but so it's like having you're trying to it's really hard, like from my perspective, like with social media, and I'm sure you can attest to that too, like trying to penetrate an algorithm now. Like that is an entire like I took marketing in college and stuff, and so like the marketing that I learned like 12 years ago or a little bit longer no longer exists, and like it has
Hmm.
changed so exponentially that trying to like navigate anything and basically like I don't even like social media. You know, I don't even like want it, but
I
like
hate
it's
it
a
so much.
necessary evil, especially for someone like you who like that's your not one of your biggest, but like I'm sure that's like a giant platform for you
Oh yeah,
to
that's huge. That's way bigger than like games media and stuff.
yeah. It's and like how has that changed in the last because I mean in the last from my issue 1 to issue 2 that I did like it like Twitter had changed. I mean
We
Yeah,
know why it changed,
Elon
but
Elon
yeah.
aside, but it's just like it changed so quickly in such a short amount of time that like it's kind of hard to like as much as you can be on there and like you're everywhere like now, like because of the algorithm because it's like now the internet knows that like I've spoken to you before and like I've played your game and like I've googled your name once or twice so it's like oh like now I'm starting to get all this push stuff about you like all these other things like the no clip thing showed up earlier today
Oh,
on
cool.
YouTube and it was like oh okay so I'm sure we're gonna like regurgitate a bunch of that stuff that was on there too but like how do you approach like social media as like because you're essentially a one-man crew at this point right
Yeah, like I contract out tiny bits, but I'm the only actual full-time dev. So that is a huge part of it. And like the short version of that is that I think you have to do everything everywhere, like all the platforms. Even LinkedIn has been like surprisingly useful for me to get like these random hardware promotion deals and stuff like that.
That's
And
awesome.
sometimes something does nothing on one platform, but does great on the other. Or like you said, a platform will start to crater, like, which not too happy about that. Twitter was
Sure.
super useful. Like I still see
Absolutely.
a little bit of traffic on it, but definitely way, way down.
It's
Yeah, I mean that's how I felt. Sorry, Jacob. That's how I
no, you
felt
good.
with like issue 1 and 2. Like issue 1, Cliffy B had like he had a friend of mine had like tweeted at him or whatever, and he saw the retweet and he pledged and like supported it, retweeted it, and basically that's what got it funded. We had him on the show like it was like 50 or 60 episodes back, and he had no recollection of me
Yeah,
whatsoever.
it was.
But it didn't matter.
It's
It was
so
it was
funny.
funny.
Whenever we brought
It
it
was
up
so
to him, he
funny.
was just like, "Oh yeah,
But
cool. I'm sure I liked it." So
but go in like and you do that with issue 2, and like so much had changed
Hmm.
that it's just like you could just scream it. I mean, you were pretty much screaming into the void anyways, but like now, like unless you have a blue pay like a blue check mark, like your stuff gets buried, and then you learn like, oh, don't put links in your first tweet, put a link in your follow-up tweet, and
Yep.
it's just like
Oh, that.
all these rules that you learn, and it's just like, man, that's like a job in itself. It's like all I want to do is like write comics and create comics, and like I that's a full-time job in itself. And then and I'm sure I mean I'm this is you know nothing to you because you're doing everything. You're making games in 6 months and from concept to ship date, which is
I mean,
crazy. Is
this
that
latest one actually was 1 month. I was mostly working on the Access Unseen patches, but then I got kind of sick of it, and that's why I made this other one.
yeah,
so
that was another thing. Like there was the patch. So Access Unseen came out in November,
October, yeah.
October, and then you put out a couple of patches and then seemingly we're done with it, and then like lo and behold you launch a game and then like there's a giant patch that basically redoes the entire beginning of the game. And like what is it, I mean it's your own stuff, but like what's the motivation behind that? Because like does your vision change from like, oh, this is how I wanted it, and then like is it the feedback, or is it just because you decided, you know what, I just want to change it?
It's more about like feedback and retention, and I do like the way that I did the intro and stuff, but it is still there, but it has essentially become part of the ending now. So,
Okay.
because some people were, I would say, overwhelmed by the intro. Like some people were like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever played. It's so metal," but other people were like, "Oh my God, there's all these crazy guitars. It's cutting all the time." And so some people couldn't quite handle it.
I was a
And
bit confused when I did it. Now, so Jacob has played the new one. I've not played the new intro, but the one of the things I noticed almost immediately, and it's like I'm 35, so like I've been playing games for a long time, but like I've gone back recently and played some like older games, and like you realize like the giant like how much stuff has changed over time. Like now we're
Mhm.
so accustomed to, Jacob hates it, the hand holding of
oh
like the
yeah,
tutorial, but
Yeah.
then like it's almost become not necessary because you will refute that, but like it's become so ingrained to like for retention, like you talk about, because it's like people no longer want to like fail and run around and do like it's like when I first jumped in, I was like, okay, I get the concept of what I'm doing. Like the intro didn't bother me. I was just like I didn't know where I was supposed to go or what I was supposed to do. I know there's all these like lights in the sky or these like beacons, and so like I go and then I just like get killed randomly
yeah,
by some
because
like a
you're running,
Sasquatch.
dude.
Run.
It says in the
I
tutorial
know
you
it says not
can't
to
run all the
run.
time because it'll end up getting killed because of
And then
it.
I died, and I'm like, okay. And then then I was like, all right, I'll explore a little bit more. And I somehow ended up in the darkness, and then I just sat there. I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to. I can't see.
It's
And then I
paralyzed
got
by
killed.
fear. Is what it was.
I got killed by some like tree monster, and it's just like I'm curious that approach in a industry that is so adamant of like holding hands. I mean, you still have that sense of exploration, which people love, like the
Mhm.
Skyrim influence of it all. But you did go in that direction of like, here you go, like we're just gonna drop you in. Like, what's the thought process behind that? Just because you wanted to, or just you know?
Yeah, I feel like there's space for that in the
Yeah.
indie scene, and there are a lot of people like me who don't like the hand holding stuff, and
Hell
like
yeah.
if I have to sit through another like 5 hour Assassin's Creed tutorial, like,
That's I don't I that's the thing I don't mind tutorials, right? But I don't like it when your game is locked behind a tutorial. Like cuz there's been so many times where I'm like, "Hey, Alex will buy a game or we'll buy a game to play together or whatever." And it's like, "Okay, just make sure you do the tutorial before we play because then we can't do anything until you do the tutorial." It's like, okay, in those situations, I will go back and I will learn the game. Don't force me to play the tutorial so that I can then go turn around and play with my friends. Like I'll learn it as I go. Don't hold my hand. I think Hunt Showdown's the one we're big on, and it was like, I believe that you have to do the tutorial before you can actually like get into the game and play it.
Most multiplayer games have a brief like you got to here's the basics to
The
jump
bare
in,
minimum,
so,
yeah. But it's like you gotta have to speed it up, because I
Yeah.
have a very short attention span. I've got a lot to do, little time. So, but
yeah.
I enjoyed I played the like Alex said, I played the revamp tutorial that you had there, and I like it because it's short, sweet, simple. Hey, here's your bow. Here's what you do. You walk up to your arrows, you get them back. I do like the difficulty selection as well, like how you literally have it laid out in front of me, like you walk into the difficulty selection you want. That's super sick.
There's only like 3 now, right?
I think
There's
it's
like
5 now. That's what I saw.
5, yeah.
Because originally you had like the 4 or 5, and then there was like the thing behind it. Did you
I just
change it?
moved those into part of that main
Oh,
circle
okay.
because some people completely missed them. So I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I should just put them next to the other ones." Like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't just do that in the first place.
Hey man, hindsight, it's like, yeah, okay, it makes sense now, but
But
the
that's
time
also
doing
one
it?
of the benefit of like you being in charge. You can do whatever the hell you want to do, and you can just like
Yeah.
work on a patch and just be like, you know what? Here you go. I'm just going to change it, which is admirable. Like, was there any hesitancy on your part that you thought the non-handholdy approach would sort of turn people off or like have less retention on your
Like
end?
with the new one?
Or just in
Uh,
general, like when you made it.
I mean, I had a little bit of a concern for it, but I had also the interesting thing about it is I went to lots of live shows and played the game, and so I've watched hundreds of people actually play that intro. And the interesting thing was that everybody actually did learn the stuff and did the right things. So even though people like have that reaction, like, "Oh, I can't handle it," like, no, actually, literally everybody did. You're just
Yeah,
not used to this.
Yeah.
I get it.
Trial by fire actually works.
Yeah, like there is it's not talked about enough, but I think it is underappreciated that feeling that, we all grew up with those games where like you sort of just learn, and like those things that you learn by accident like are a lot more rewarding than like the game telling you to do this thing. I
Hmm.
see both. I see both as like from me, I have a 7-year-old, she's fixing to be 8. We're busy all the time, so like when I sit down at night and I play something, like I have to be in the mood to like really jump in, like the Oblivion remaster. It's like I still know my way around that game, but even still, like I could easily sit there for 45 minutes and do nothing, and like do nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like
Or
if I
organize your inventory.
right, all that stuff. So
I
like
wonder why the
that's
hell I'm so
great.
encumbered right now is what I'm doing. God.
That's great when you're 14 or 15 years old and you have no responsibilities of life. But when you're
Hmm.
35 with a child and a wife and a job and everything else, it's like, man, if I got 2 hours to play, like I want to feel like I've done something. So, it's a choice you got to make. But I do find it fascinating that like just that like I get, if you can, like what was your approach of like, okay, like I've done the work, I've worked for Bethesda for all this. You also did Starfield, right? You worked on
Yeah,
Starfield.
I was on that for like about a year because I was on 76 a bit longer than some other people because I was, like the lead artist, basically art director for a long time. But I eventually asked to move off after we
Okay.
shipped like the Wastelanders update.
Okay. Um, and did you just want to leave? Was that what it was? You were just like, I just kind of want to do my own thing now. Like I've done this for 20 years. I want to do my own thing.
For like why I went independent.
Yeah. Why you left
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I always kind of had it in the back of my head. And at that point, I shipped quite a few big games there that had done very well. And I just think the odds of that happening again are not the best. So it's already lucky enough that like so many of those did so well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I did my best Elder Scrolls. Like I'm not gonna be like I'm gonna do the even better Elder Scrolls. Like, dude, that's one of the top 10 selling games of all time. I don't know. I'd rather just do my own thing. Like
There's less
that sounds a
pressure
lot
in
more
that too.
fun. Yeah, for
And I
sure.
and I imagine too, like I mean, as someone who's like written his own comic books and stuff, like doing your own thing and creating your own world and living by your rules is infinitely more appealing, especially when you've been doing the thing you've been doing for 20 years. And like, what are some of the I mean, obviously there's the advantages and disadvantages, but what immediately are those advantages and disadvantages of working for the big publisher like Bethesda versus kind of doing it on your own?
I mean, the obvious one is like you actually get money for what you're doing, like a stable paycheck.
Yeah.
I can respect it.
But
So,
but your motive is, I mean, obviously your motivation is obviously you want to make money, but like that's no longer your sole motivation anymore, right?
yeah, I'd like saved up and stuff. So I mean, I hope to make money doing this,
Sure.
but I'm not going to just be like, I'm not going to market it. I'll do whatever. But
I mean, you're definitely still putting in the work for it.
yeah,
So your new one, is it Deedlee do Carkour?
yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you've made the Axis Unseen, which is, you know, clearly has a tone and an inspiration, and it's great that you completely go and not even like out of left field. This is like totally different. You said you made it in a month. It's everything is made by clay.
Out of clay. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
it's actually
explain
Play-Doh.
how do you do that? Because that's like insane to me. Like,
It's really, really easy now because you can just scan it with your phone even. So we just took a bunch of Play-Doh and jammed it together, and then I just got this tiny little turntable and spun around them on my phone, and then I take those models and throw them straight in the engine. Like I spent like 10 minutes in a 3D program on that entire game because it's all just those scans.
that is like
insane.
something that I would have never thought about, honestly, because I don't know how to make games to begin with. But at the same time, like I just feel like it's super unique, and I don't think, I mean, again, I don't go many places and I don't see many things, but it's something that I have never seen before as far as like a game being made completely out of like Play-Doh.
And the
it's
sound effects are
the
all made
sound-
by mouth.
That's great. I love it. It's just got such a fun vibe, and it really does give off the vibe that like you're just having a good time. You're
Yeah.
making the games that you want to make, and you're having fun with it. So I really dig it.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a fun experiment, and I wanted to see if I could do it too because I was like, this seems like something I could do in a month. Like, because at that point I knew Unreal too because I had to learn a lot of stuff to make the Axis Unseen. But then I grabbed all the boring stuff from the Axis Unseen, like rebinding controls and stuff, and then just like moved that into an empty project and then built this new game on top of it.
Yeah.
Because that saves a ton of time. That stuff takes forever and it's really boring.
Interesting. So how do you prefer Bethesda's in-house engine or do you prefer Unreal at this point?
And are you allowed to say? Are you allowed to answer? I don't know what kind of NDAs you have had to sign.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I mean,
So
I
was-
can't give away secrets or anything.
yeah,
but
no,
I'll
I'm
say-
asking
no,
for secrets.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, no,
Preference.
I vastly prefer Unreal. Like it is night and day how much I can actually get done in any given day. Like people can use the creation kit, right? It's accessible to modders, so people know how that engine works. And like anytime you want to test something, you have to spin up the whole game separate from the editor and wait for everything to load again. Like it takes forever. Whereas in Unreal, I can like adjust a couple things and just hit the play button in the editor right there. It's already still loaded. Boom, play. And again, it's like
For what I mean,
The
that's the
iteration
one thing.
is
Like for what
massive.
it's worth, like yeah, Unreal and Epic. Epic's the one that does Unreal Engine, right? Like I
Right,
mean,
yes.
for how we feel about Fortnite here and all that they've brought to like gaming industry as a whole, like Unreal Engine is definitely one of those things where like they've made game making highly accessible through that as well, and like how easy it is and like ease of use and whatnot. So I mean, hats off to them, you know. But again, they're a $1 trillion company at this point, so who cares, you know? But
yeah, but I mean, their terms for using that engine are great too. Like, it's like, oh, you have to pay 5% if you make $1 million. Like,
hell,
man,
damn, dude.
if I make $1 million, you guys can have it. That is
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Here you go, buddy. I know it's like yeah, exactly.
Well earned.
What is yours on Unreal 4 or Unreal
I'm
5?
on Unreal 5, so I use that's how I have everything so like detailed in the Axis Unseen with like no textures. It's all multi-million poly models.
Damn.
And I
man.
did absolutely zero optimization for Deedlee do Carkour. I just throw those scans straight in. I don't even know how many polys anything is. It runs at like 90 FPS on the Steam Deck.
And I feel
All
like
right.
that I feel like it's insane because 90 FPS. I know that's a lot. I know that
Yeah.
much.
It's just limited by the refresh rate, basically.
I saw that you have already basically done a multiplayer mode for it that you're going to implement.
Yeah, I've been testing it with my composer recently, and yeah, hopefully get it out within like the next week or so. Actually, it's like it works.
Oh,
I'm
that was
still
one thing I was going to tell you about the Axis Unseen is I really dig the sounds because it's very crunchy. It sounds really good. I was just going to throw that out there.
thanks.
Yeah, as like the bass on the sword thrust or a dagger thrust, whatever. The bass is really there. I like that. I don't know, but I'm big on sounds and games and stuff. So
That's great to hear. Since like that was not my job before, but I spent a lot of time trying to make it crunchy
He likes
like
the
that.
one part of the
Yeah.
game you didn't do.
No. I mean, I did on that game.
oh, so
I just never did it previously.
Well, yeah, hell, you
Gotcha.
crushed it because it sounds great. I love it.
Thanks.
But
I didn't do the
I-
music, but I did do the sound.
There's something that like not to like keep like loving on Hunt or whatever, but like we always do in this podcast but it's just like the sound design, like they've made me fall in love with like sound design, and like sound design can really make you feel immersed, especially because it like, yeah, you have VR, but I feel like that the progression to make me feel more immersed is going to end up being sound design, where you have the directional hearing. That's why I have these fancy headphones on so I can hear the sound design and whatnot. And so it's like, yeah, I really dig great sound in the game, and it's got it. So yeah.
Wait, are your headphones the same as mine, but a
Audio
different color?
Technica, yeah, I was thinking,
Nice.
yeah, I don't know, I can't remember the number they are, or whatever, but I literally bought these because
Sure.
because a Hunt streamer that I watch wears them, and I was like, hey, what headphones you got? And he was like, oh, he's Audio Technica. They don't help my gameplay at all whatsoever, but they feel good. So
Yeah.
shouts
How
out
do
to-
you? You can tiptoe around this because I know that you're in a different position than we are. Video game streaming in general and like Twitch streamers, like I don't have an inherent problem with them. I feel like a lot of them are disingenuous, and that's just a personal opinion of mine. But the effect that they have, good and bad, cannot be like understated. You know what I mean? Like if the right streamer gets a hold of a game and then like boom, like it's like an instant hit almost. Even if it's like Jacob is very trolly and he likes to do things out of like irony, and so
I know what
it's
you're talking
just
about.
like that's a dangerous precedent. I mean, we kind of saw it with like Morbius in the theaters, where like it goes back and people are going it for the joke, and it's just like. Yeah, but
It's like
the
okay.
the
Morbius
market
is one of
dictates,
those.
right?
Morbius is one of those where we did, as a people, step too far over the line. Right? We made it. We went too far. The companies took it the wrong way, and so were like, oh no, let's re-release it in theaters because people are loving it. And it's like they don't understand. It's like we're laughing at you and not laughing with you. So, but anyways, sorry, continue.
But it's a free marketing tool, especially for someone in your position though. Like that's one of those things that didn't exist 10 years ago. And
Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
I can imagine that like that is a giant part of the marketing budget, but like it's not even really a budget. You're just basically
Yeah, in my situation, I pretty much just have to send keys and hope for the best, because I have dug into like how much it costs to actually get those people to play, and it is wild. Even like
really,
mid-level streamers are like 5 figures.
really.
Damn, dude.
It's bonkers.
So
I
you have
guess
to pay them to play it?
Yeah,
I guess
that's
I didn't even
definitely a
think
thing.
about that.
And
Yeah.
there's obviously then way higher ones who are gonna be pulling in 6 or 7 figures for that. So
I mean, that's true. I guess you do. Like,
I had
they are
no idea.
But they do have sponsorships on streams and whatnot, just from the streamers that I watch. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess now that I think about it, like, yeah, it's a sponsorship, so you have to pay them to play the game.
yeah, it's not like they necessarily do it with all their content, but that's definitely like how they make a good chunk of their money, I'm sure. If they're charging that much.
Yeah, and then like is there like a minimum of like how long they have to play it?
Yeah, I mean, you would come to an agreement like, oh, like they'll stream it for like 2 to 4 hours or something. It depends on the conditions.
I had no idea.
Streaming is a lucrative business nowadays.
I mean, it is.
If you're lucky enough to
Yeah,
actually do
that's
it.
that's the thing
Everyone's
I-
like, oh, I want to grow up and be a streamer. It's
That's
like,
exactly
it's-
what I tell
I
people.
want to grow up and
man.
make video games.
'Cause,
Same thing. Like
There's a lot more people making video games and making money than streaming and making money.
there you go. Yeah.
I
There's
always
also
tell people
that.
it's always about like this idea that everybody thinks they can jump out and be a streamer and like be popular. When I was
Well,
like,
you can. Anybody can be a streamer.
Hey.
Everyone can do a podcast.
Yes, anybody absolutely can do a podcast. We have done this for how many episodes now, and like we're
307.
Yeah, we're nobodies. Don't worry about it. So, but it's like you really do have to like curb your kind of, I guess, enthusiasm, so to speak. Where it's like you're not. not everybody's going to be the next who's a popular streamer nowadays. I don't know any popular streamers. I Show Speed, is he?
I think he's like the big one right now. Right?
I don't know how, because I'm pretty sure that I heard some stuff that he. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go into it, but as you know, him or is Ninja still around? Is he doing the streaming thing still? I don't know. What is he? He's. I don't know.
You're talking the wrong words. I'm not into streaming. So
shit. Who's we can move on
before we get lost into that.
Yeah.
So when did the idea for the Access Unseen sort of like hit you? Was it while you were still at Bethesda, or was it something that you did after?
It was afterwards. I started brainstorming what kind of game I would want to make, and wrote down a bunch of ideas. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna like game jam a bunch of them, and then make the one that I like the most." But I liked that one the most from the start, so I was like, "I'm just gonna make that one." So,
Hell yeah.
Was part of that because there was a familiarity with like how Skyrim it functions basically, and taking what you had done previously and like easing that in, or was it sort of like just ended up being the thing that you like the most?
I mean, I certainly have the background to do open world games. I wouldn't recommend most indie developers do a giant open world game, but that part wasn't scary. But it was more directly inspired by hunting games, actually.
Gotcha.
And the mechanics of those. And I liked all the tracking and like the pacing of it being a bit different. So it was definitely more inspired by that. But then I was like, well, hunting games should have monsters.
Now, are you a big cryptid guy? I guess is what I should say.
I mean, I think, yeah, there's kind of like this obvious through line in my stuff. Like I was also the lead on, or co-lead on Point Lookout, which is, like the horror Fallout 3 DLC. And then I'm the one that put all the cryptids in Fallout 76.
You're my guy. I love it. It's like, because I don't, hey, for what it's worth, I don't know anything about the discourse, but Fallout 76, I heard that it didn't have a great launch. Okay, cool. They added stuff later on or whatever. They fixed it. Blah, blah, blah. But
is it much better shape now than when it launched?
I heard. Yeah. Ian keeps telling me that it is.
From what I understand.
Ian keeps telling me that it is, but I don't know. But the cryptid stuff, absolutely love it. The Mothman being in there, that's great. He has his whole cult. Spoiler alert, by the way, everybody. I don't know. But it's been like 10 years now, right? But
has it been that long?
Absolutely love it. I don't know, dude. I don't think so.
Like 7,
maybe.
Dude, 2020 threw the timeline off, dude. I just feel like, 2018 is almost 10 years ago at this point, and it's just like, no, that was just like 3 years ago. So how long did it take you from conception to launch for Access Unseen?
That was about 3.5 years, which was exactly what I scheduled for too.
Really?
So I hit like the exact month that I was aiming for.
Very nice.
Other than your obvious, like the obvious games you've worked on, like what are some of your inspirations? Like what are some of your favorite games that you sort of pull from, or like just enjoy in general, other than I mean, would it be weird to say you enjoy the things that you made? I mean, is that weird?
I mean, I enjoy some of the things I made to varying levels. Like I've replayed a lot of the Fallout games after those came out, but I didn't play Skyrim after that came out again.
I mean, you had like at least 20 different opportunities. Yeah, like because
which time did you not play it after it came out?
All of them.
Was that just a choice because like you had been so in the weeds on it, or just
I mean, I had to watch that intro like 500 times as part of it. Like I was in the meetings for that, but also I was just always more of a Fallout person.
I will say Skyrim, that intro, like, yeah, I get it. It's a meme at this point. The longest fucking intro I've ever had to experience in a game. Like, I get it, but it just give me an option to skip, guys. Come on. Like, I get my head to the chopping
I do think
block,
you should be able to skip it after the first time.
At least, I've beat the game 7 times. Let's go. Like, why do okay, cool. This blonde-haired guy, I forgot his name already, is telling me that I'm here. And like, oh, look, you're awake again. I don't need to hear it 20 times.
What's your favorite Fallout?
I think 4 is the one that I have the most fun with. Like I really like 3, but a lot of it doesn't quite hold up as much. Like it doesn't have the aim down sights and stuff like that. And visually, it didn't even have shadows back then.
That's true. And it was such a stark difference from 2, right? And 3 is my personal favorite. I grew up in Northern Virginia, so I have a lot of sentimental, attachment to a lot of that. So, did you live in Bethesda, or were you?
I lived in Rockville at the time.
Okay. So other than the games that you've worked on, I guess what's your favorite Elder Scrolls
The new one.
If you had to pick one, well, the new one doesn't count because it's old.
I mean, honestly, probably Skyrim. Like, I wasn't super into Morrowind.
Really?
The whole like RPG-ish nature of like you hit someone, but then that doesn't do damage. Like, I didn't like that aspect at
I
all.
got you.
Oblivion, I really liked, and that's the one that really got me into the series. But also has like some pretty severe balance problems with the
Sure. Yes.
bandits and glass armor towards the end of the game and stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was the thing that always turned me off of Oblivion when I first played it, because like I would just level up without thinking about it, right? And then you get to level 20, and then all of a sudden you're getting one shot by like a timber wolf or something like that because you're running around. You don't have the armor, you don't have the skills to kill the guys, and it's just like, yeah, I would always be like, okay, let me re-roll a character real quick. So
Yeah,
Did
it's a little broken.
Did you have you dabbled in the new one, the remake remaster?
Not yet, because I've been playing a whole bunch of other random games.
you've been playing the Axis Unseen, I get it. You know, that's what I've been on.
So other than like what you've worked on, like what are some of your favorite games like growing up or even into like the recent years?
I'm big into the Hitman games. Those are super
Okay.
fun, but I'm trying to play games of all genres. So I'm also like
Yeah.
huge into XCOM. Like I was
Dude.
really big into the like Quake and Half-Life scene. Played tons of weird indie games like Papers,
Yeah.
Please. And lots. I have like 860 something games on my Steam library.
Hey, buddy,
Isn't it crazy?
join the
Like,
club. Yeah, it's like,
you almost just like buy games just to have them. It's like, yeah, I'll play that.
it's like a trading card game, pretty much. It's like,
Kinda-
you
and
just
then
collect
there's the
them.
trading card system within Steam.
See, I got a trick to it though. It's I'm fine quitting a game. Like if I get enough of a game or if I think it's bad, I'll just move on. Like I try and play them for at least 15 minutes, but I have played most of the games that I have now.
Damn.
Wow, really? Mine's the 2 hour rule. I try to give it 2 hours.
That's generous.
Yeah, but it has worked out for me in several occasions. Most recently, like when I played the Prey, the most recent Prey. So I played the demo that came out and didn't love it. I was just like, I think it's a bad demo because I don't think it really encapsulate like what that game is about. And then like I got it on sale like 6 months later or something, and like I pushed through the demo part, and then like once that game clicks with you, it like clicks, and like I just couldn't put it down. And again, like I think it was like 3 hours into the game before I was like, I like this game now. And typically, again, I typically don't. Again, I got that unless it's something that I know I'm going to like, like Doom. Doom just came out. Like I played the first level. I'm going to get to it. I like it, but it's just one of those time.
Yeah, I mean, if enough people tell me a game is good, I'll push through. But I also get a lot of keys from like I would judge through the IGF, at least until I went independent, which is the Independent Games Festival. So I would get a lot of keys for games that way, and I would say the quality is a little bit more variable there.
That's also fair. Do you feel like you view a game differently? Because I often do. Like if a game is made by one or two or three or a group of 10 people versus a game that's made by 400 people, and like one launches a broken mess and the other one is like, yeah, it has some quirky and like jankiness, but it still still functions right. And like I feel like personally I give more of a leeway to those smaller teams than I would like these giant publishing houses.
I think I view them about the same, but I do generally almost never play anything day one anymore
That's
because I'm like, man, especially if it's a big game, honestly,
Right.
like
Right.
let
A
someone
Bethesda
else
game.
deal with this. Yeah, I know how this goes.
Hey, I mean, I don't think Bethesda's unique in being the game company that
no,
like,
but they had a
No,
reputation
they're
for a
not.
long time.
That's fair, I guess.
There's a lot of other people running into the same problems, and it makes sense when things are at that scale with that many complex systems at play and all the random hardware config issues and stuff. Like PC gaming is a nightmare.
On
So-
top of PCs just in general. We were just talking about it before we started with how you can turn your computer on and
Completely
change
new.
nothing
Yeah.
for 10 straight days and it works. And then the 11th day, it's just like, I'm not going to work today. We
Or,
run into that
or it's
problem.
like settings are all different. I don't know who changed them. It wasn't me. I just turned them on.
We run into that problem all the time. Again, this is the 307th episode, and like we'll just run into like random problems where the interface doesn't work, and it's like, why? Like
You were
nothing's
literally
changed.
working yesterday.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah, as much as people would like to think that computers are like totally predictable, that is not true.
And it's like I've heard just because the reason like restarting computer works is because it's like you literally like just reset it and it goes back to square one. It's like, oh, okay, I just took the wrong pathway last time. I just took I got to the wrong hardware first or something like that nature. So speaking of video games, do you enjoy talking about video games since it is like your job? Because
Yeah.
because there's always
Yeah,
this,
some people are like, "Oh, I don't like games," but I
yeah,
play
because
tons and love talking to people about them.
I do accounting all day. I can't imagine going to like somebody's house and talking about accounting some more. So like I imagine that it's the same. And I didn't know if like does your love for video games, like I guess I should say, like did you have a love for video games early on in your life? I think you've already answered it probably.
Oh, yeah.
But I have ADHD and I don't remember. So and then
In
like
third grade, remember?
oh yeah, third grade. That's when that's right. You were like, I want to make video games. Yeah, I remember now. Okay. But then like, does making video games, has that soured your like love of video games at all? Or is it kind of just like, I'm doing what I love day to day?
I think it makes it easier for me to not like a game if it's not great because you
Okay.
like, it's very easy to see past the curtain or whatever. But at the same time, if a game is done really, really well, then I can appreciate it even more. Like Last of Us 2, for instance, is completely ridiculous in every way, and just like it pulled out all the stops, and clearly it was such a nightmare to make, so complicated, but they did a great job.
Yeah, I mean it's funny you bring that up. I mean, the reception is that I enjoyed Last of Us 2. I liked it a lot. But I'm on this hill where like I prefer the first Red Dead Redemption over the second one, but I will acknowledge that the second one is an extremely well-made technical masterpiece as
Hmm.
for like what it is being open world and everything else. But like I just found it kind of unfun to play and kind of just like a slog. And like for me personally, nothing turns me off than like clunky controls. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's why he doesn't
Oh,
like
yeah.
Souls games. So
Well, there's a lot of reasons I don't like that, but even still, like just like the atmosphere and the nature and like how, because the Red Dead Redemption itself was like a tumultuous thing, and like there's a reason like it wasn't on the PC for the longest time, but like it's like that game to me is just so much more fun, which is ultimately like what video games are about. But like, I don't know. I feel like there's been a recent push for like those big games, like Grand Theft Auto, like 10, 20 years ago, like I might be into it, but like I have no interest in the new Grand Theft Auto because it's just going to be embedded with like this insane detail and realism, which is going to be great. But like, how fun is that going to be? You know what I mean?
I think it depends on the pacing of it all, because I know that's probably a hot take, but I also think Red Dead 2 is a slog and the
Thank you,
controls are
sir.
not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is super well crafted. But I don't know. I'm hopeful for the GTA because GTA is inherently like a little more fast paced, not like
Sure.
staring at a horse's butt for an hour to get to the next mission.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a love for westerns in general, and like that, just like that era. I grew up watching westerns with my dad, but like really the part in Red Dead 2, I don't know if you ever got to this part because you
I
said
ended up beating the game.
when you go to the island and you're on that fortress,
Hmm.
dude, I that was almost the breaking point for me because like the way that like you hug walls and like these tight corridors, like the game was not made for small tight corridors, and like it's just I was like I gotta get to the end of this like because I knew I wasn't like far from the end, but like
Hmm.
it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole is what that felt like, and I was like, man. And then in playing, I mean, no offense, so don't take this the wrong way, but Starfield felt a lot like that for me as well, where I'm like, I'm not having a good time playing this, and it's just a personal thing, but he leaves.
he's just like, yeah, actually, I'm going
like,
to take
"I'm
all
outta
the
here."
offense and I'm actually out of here. I'm texting my friends.
No, that was just the baby monitor was beeping for some reason.
He just that would oh my god, that'd been awesome. He just like storms off. He's like, "Fuck you."
Fuck you. That's
Bye.
my game. I made that game. You
No,
suck.
honestly,
It's like,
I didn't even beat Starfield myself. I got like 20 hours into it, like halfway through the main quest or something. I was like, I'm good.
So how much of that? Okay, let's get into the weeds of that. Like that engine itself, was that like a revised engine of like what was used earlier, and
Yeah, I
like
mean,
the
they've been pretty public about what it is, and it's still the creation kit, but with a whole bunch of overhauled systems for that.
you were talking about aging. I don't. It's like I just don't. I feel like personally, like when it as you progress, like that to me, like you said, Unreal seems like it has more tools and you can sort of like mesh and sort of like create more and be more refined with stuff. Whereas like that creation engine seems like it's very like hard and like true of like this is what it has to be, and you can't really deviate much from a developmental standpoint. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. And you get a lot of people who are like, oh, but Unreal has like traversal stutter and all these problems and doesn't support modding. But like realistically, no matter what Unreal is like right now, if you have as many engineers as it takes to keep updating an old engine, like Unreal could be whatever. Like
Right.
traversal stutter is totally a solvable problem. You could make it moddable. Like all these things are possible. Like the sheer amount of engineering to keep an engine modern is a lot.
Yeah.
So I lean towards it being an Unreal advocate.
Do you know what your next game is?
I think I do. Yeah. Like I'll
Yeah.
probably noodle on Deedlee do Carkour a little bit, make multiplayer and all that. If it takes off or whatever, I would support it, but otherwise I'd probably move on to something new.
Keep putting out Access Unseen patches.
I,
Axis Unseen 2.
I would move on to a new game, but chances are it would be closer to the Axis Unseen and
Really?
probably a little bit bigger of a project.
Oh, by yourself, or would
Yeah,
you
I think so.
do you just prefer working by yourself and being in control?
Yeah, it's really nice, especially with having young kids, having like flexible schedule is really nice. Like, not too long ago, I did a cross country RV trip, and then we're gonna do the rest of it over the summer to like drive back, and
Hell yeah,
was
dude.
in like Taiwan and Japan for a long time, and like being able to take a vacation and have it being a real vacation is super nice versus when I came back from vacations at Bethesda and had like 1,000
So to
emails.
say, what was that like to be able to take like an actual vacation and like relax and doing stuff? Like that sounds so un-American to me, honestly. So, you know,
Yeah, like that is a big reason why I like being independent because even with a small team, like you can't do that actually. Probably even especially with a small team because even more, you're
they're
like a
gonna be
bigger
needing your
portion of
attention.
the
Yeah,
company.
it's like gonna be needing your attention 24/7 if they're a smaller company too. So it's like,
Yeah.
Do
oh
you
man.
well, you sort of touched on it a little bit, but do you feel knowing how the sausage is made per se has changed your perception? But I mean, I guess not though, because since you've been doing it since you were like in third grade, do you find that the enjoy like can you just sit down knowing having the knowledge that you have and working in that industry for so long, can you are you able to sit down and just like feel like a kid again and like play something and like completely lose yourself and not think about like, oh, I wonder how they did this, or oh man, like what kind of magic did they use making this work or anything like that?
It's definitely pretty rare, but it's nice when it is like that. Like I felt like that playing Elden Ring, honestly. Like really, really engrossed in a game.
Did you enjoy
Good
it
for
or
you.
did you hate it? What was your take on it?
I don't know. I loved it. And I
Hell
think it did
yeah.
a lot of really smart things to that formula where you don't have to like, oh, I don't have to run 15 minutes to go back to the boss fight. I can just spawn near it this time. Or
Elden,
honestly, anytime you have trouble, you just go somewhere else. That's like the very
that's
first thing they teach you.
oh my god, I love it so much, man. That's like Elden Ring was the last time here recently that I can tell you that I felt like excited and giddy for a game, right? And like
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3 was different because it's like I didn't know much about Baldur's Gate to begin with, and it wasn't until after I started seeing people play Baldur's Gate and then started learning that you could do all these different things in it, and like the amount of choice in Baldur's Gate is like now overwhelming. But at the same time, like I love choice in a video game, but then like Elden Ring was for some reason I was just like, holy shit, like this is fine. This is a game that has everything that I've been looking for recently in the game. It's a Soulsborne game, which I've never really like enjoyed. Like I played Bloodborne a little bit, but it was the difficulty like level of Bloodborne is insane. I suck at those kind of games. And then so it's like Elden Ring comes along, and it's like a game that you can, you know, you don't beat a boss. Okay, cool. I'm gonna f off and go kill some shit for a little while, find some new weapons, and like up my stats. Go watch a YouTube video on how to like min max this build I've been working on, and come back to it. And it was just it like you were saying, like it just hit, and it was like just great feeling. But that's sick. So
Yeah, definitely an amazing game.
One of the, I mean, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well. The trend chasing in the industry of video games has I get it, but also I think it has been very detrimental in the last decade or so of, I mean, you're seeing so many of these like games as a service that like launch and then they just obviously, having worked for Bethesda, like there's so many hands in the honey jar, and so there's certain expectations that are put on things, and like I think by and large, you can kind of tell when a thing's not going to hit, and not all. It's not always absolutely. No one knows the future, but like when there's 30, battle royale games, like they're not all going to last,
Hmm.
and it always seems like the industry is several years behind. So like it just, and obviously it's because games take a really long time to make,
Yeah.
but like how like as someone who was in there and like did that, was there ever any point in time where you were able to be like, hey man, like I just don't think that this is the right route to take, more so when you were at Bethesda, I mean, or anything like that?
I mean, knowing how hard it is to convince people to change their mind at that kind of thing in a big company is part of why I left, because you just aren't going to win those arguments in a company like that. Because unless you're like a C-suite kind
It's
of person, you're not the one making those calls.
it's like
And
Yeah.
you're telling
that
me not
it's,
to make money right now. Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me not to put microtransactions into the game and make millions of dollars? That's kind of weird.
yeah. And this kind of thing's been happening in games forever. Like you say 10 years, but I would say like
Yeah,
forever practically. Like I remember when it was MMOs, it was the same thing. Like,
sure.
Dude,
and MMOs and games as a service, there's a lot of parallels there with, like, frankly, it's like soap operas. Like you're not, there's only can be so many that are successful. People just like have their soap or their
Yeah.
MMO, like to get those people to move to another one is like such a huge pull. Like
So
it
are you the one to blame for the horse armor?
that was before my time.
But I mean, that's a good point though, because you have Fortnite, right? And you have the people that play Fortnite, like and Call of Duty, and like those people are not going to leave those games, and they're going to keep playing those games. We have run into a situation like we played Hunt Showdown, and so like it is a very niche shooter, and like I am at a point in my life where I don't typically play tons of like online stuff, and that one just like worked perfectly. COVID built a PC, like just all the right things hit at the same time, and like that's the thing, like when that goes away, whenever how whatever, if we just stop playing or it goes away permanently, like it's going to be a hard sell to get me to invest into another online space like that, because I'm just like you said, like I'm not leaving to go jump somewhere else because I like this thing for what it is.
Hmm.
And it has the benefit at the moment of being a very unique thing. Like it has no clones yet. But in the last 2 years, you can see it change where it is this thing, but then like because of revenue and because it is an always online thing and you have to pay for servers, it's the Crytek, so it's like there's
Yeah.
you have to pay employees and like to keep it going. Like I understand the business perspective of all of it, and like all the stuff that they do, their season passes, their maps, everything is like free. You pay for like like skins, so it's like Fortnite, but everything is original in the game until they had collaborated with Post Malone in, well, I guess it was October, and
Yeah.
now it brought in a huge influx of people. But then it's like then they do the ghost face thing, and it's just like, as a purist, but it went beyond further than that for me. But like
Hmm.
from your perspective, like tell me I'm not crazy. Basically, like again, I understand the monetary purpose, but the problem for us is that like, and somewhat with streamers, is like there's a giant influence of those people that, and it has a retention problem too, because it's done the Fortnite thing where they do like seasons and events, and like the player count goes up, the player pool is like you can get into the game really quick, all this stuff is really great, and those seasons end and like it just plummets. And I think that's
Hmm.
just kind of the nature of games at this point, especially online games. But it's like I mean, again, you got to make money, so like there has to be a balance somewhere, and I feel personally as a consumer that a lot of times it goes, and it's always been that way, but the pendulum swings too much one way. So
Yeah. I kind of had the same reaction. Like when I saw the trailer for that stuff, I was like, wait, what now?
yeah,
hey,
so
It's like jumping the shark a bit. And I think it works for some. IPs, like Fortnite is basically that's what it is. It's like
Sure.
whatever, it works fine. But you see that like Call of Duty has like Snoop Dogg and Nicki Minaj
Jay
and
and
stuff,
Silent
right?
Bob.
Do they have
Yeah,
Seth Rogen? Is there a Seth Rogen skin now or some shit that I saw on?
yes.
Oh,
Which again, yeah, like you said, I'm sure it makes them money and like
people are gonna buy
if
it. I mean, it's like we're sitting here
But
joking about it, but like people are gonna buy it. They're gonna
that's
love
not
it.
the
Like,
kind of games that I want to make.
yeah.
right, right.
So when's the
But,
first skin coming to Access Unseen? When are we gonna get like a?
but there has so like the argument I made, and like maybe you can add insight to this, is like, I mean, you have to pay for the likeness for that person, that celebrity. Let's just use Post
Yeah.
Malone. Like, you've got to. I'm sure that I mean, he actually played the game. From what I understand, that's how the whole thing happened. He played it on a stream. And he has a big following. Kudos to him. Whatever. So they decided, okay, let's do this. All right, and that stuff takes time to develop. Whatever. But like, I am curious to like know how that offsets. Like, because you have to pay that person, and then you take in all the time to develop all of these things. And then like the skins were essentially free if you completed the battle pass. So you don't pay anything for those skins, but I guess the hope is if you're a developer that people are going to buy the premium currency,
Yeah.
but it's not
I mean, it's not a sure thing, or
it's
it could
not a
have
sure
been.
thing. So like I think that like the player count went up to like 50, 60,000 people concurrent at one point. The most it's ever had is like 89 on Steam.
Mhm.
And that was when they did the relaunch back in July of last year. But then, it's just like how much of that it feels like a selling your soul and vision just for a quick buck, but you're running a business. You know how it is. Like, you're running a business and you have to do things to pay the bills.
Mhm.
But like there has to be a fine line somewhere in there. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who work on that game who feel the same way, and
So
it is tough.
like what's the I mean, I guess it's no different than a regular job, right? Like finding the motivation you're like, man, I really just don't, I'm not loving this. I mean, maybe you had some of that too, where it's just like, I don't like, I got to keep going. Like, I got kids to feed. I got a house I could pay for, all this other shit. So, but like at a certain point, I feel like you kind of, like you said, you sort of just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to move on and do something else.
Yeah, I think I basically became like there's this meme out there of like the life of an artist. It's like promising youngster, like talented professional, like burnt out weirdo with a studio, like off on their own. I th- I don't know. It's just time to like do my own thing and not having to worry about that grind of like paying for server costs. Like multiplayer games are incredibly tough and like
Yes.
they're so expensive to run that if they don't sell that stuff, they would literally lose money. It's not just that they're not making profit, it's that their own bank accounts would be drained from those server fees.
And we need.
It-
Why can't servers be free? Just like, come on, just let servers be free.
Why can't money be
Yeah.
free?
Why are we? Yeah. Why can't we just do these things for fun?
Is
What?
there anything you would like to tackle outside of video game development?
uh,
I know it's a loaded
huh.
question.
I mean, I eventually want to get back to playing the piano a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
What do you like to do like when you're not doing games? Like what do you like to read books? Do you like comics? You got manga? Like you watch TV? What is Nate doing like on his off time?
I mean, besides playing games, I play like Warhammer and stuff, and
Oh
I have
shit.
gotten
Okay.
back into reading. I've been reading a lot of like weird horror stuff.
Let's
That's been a
go.
nice change from doom scrolling and whatnot.
I've
So
been trying to like get into reading recently. Like I've been trying to like
The way-
read
just
words.
that sentence
Uh,
is so funny
I've
to
been
me.
trying to get into reading lately,
I've been
but
trying to learn how to read.
I mean, basically, man, I'm bad at reading, but I've got this one book. Oh shit, I don't eat the ones you love, and it's like that. It's like a horror-esque kind of book. I'm only like 100 or so pages in, but it's the farthest I've been in a book in a long time. But I've been looking for like weird, creepy books. Like I want like, don't want to be scared reading, but it's pretty good. So
the one that got me back into reading was this book called House of Leaves, which is like, oh, I'm gonna get back into reading, and it, like turns out I picked like the most complicated book ever to read.
hell yeah,
Isn't that
So-
what like? Oh man, isn't that sort of what inspired Alan Wake somewhat?
but
I could definitely see that because it has a lot of that like
what?
non-Euclidean space where like rooms that shouldn't exist are within a house and
Yeah.
stuff, but it's like a story within a story within a story, and
Like
like
I've
It's like you
I've
find
heard
a
of-
pile of papers from a crazy person, and stuff is even like formatted weird, and you're like,
See, I love
someone
that's what I love
watching
that.
you read it probably thinks you're weird because you're like holding the book upside down and stuff.
I was like, that's the one thing about the book that I'm reading is like it jumps around in like different formats and whatnot, and it just making me rethink like how you would write a book and like to make it weird, and it's super cool. Like, yeah, just have fun with
I mean,
it.
if you like that kind of thing, you would probably love this book, even if it is like 500 pages or whatever. It is very experimental.
That's a lot of words.
I do like when books and comics and like go think outside of the realm of stuff because I remember like the Court of Owls, like when you read it, like he's like down in the sewers and like you had to turn your comic book all the way upside down because it's like the way it was
Dude,
printed and
spoilers, I
stuff.
haven't gotten there yet, dude.
I don't know
Jeez.
if it's in the
Aw,
trade
man.
version, but
Okay.
I know the actual single version. So, playing the piano, what else? Reading,
Gardening whenever I get more
Let's
time.
go. All right. Hell
Beer
yeah.
brewing.
what are you growing out there?
Nothing yet because it was all torn up from construction, so I need to rebuild everything. But I had like a 30-something foot greenhouse with full drip lines and everything.
Damn, dude. You
Now
got
you're
it
speaking
set
Jacob's
up. Yeah.
language.
We have a cemetery in our backyard currently, but we're
You have wait, what? A
it's
cemetery?
Yeah, it's okay. So we call it a cemetery. It looks like there's probably several bodies buried there, but don't worry, I've dug up half of it, and so far no bodies been found. But it's like
We
the
live
people-
close to the Smoky Mountains, so you never know.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I was gonna kill somebody, I'd just take it to the mountains, like because it's like people disappear in the mountains all the time around here, and like they know
Oh, yeah.
people. I mean, they have search parties, but nobody ever finds anything. It's a whole thing. Anyways, they don't keep records of it either. It's okay.
I'm
we
from the
got
deep
cryptid-
woods. I know who it is.
Hey,
Yeah, we got cryptids in the Appalachian Mountains.
like missing 411 for what it's worth. Okay, for what like it is obviously like in like conspiracy territory, like because it's most likely these people have just wandered off and got eaten by animals. But like, and I get like there's a whole like he does badger people sometimes to like trying to get like what he thinks is the answer to the questions. Like people are disappearing, the government's taking them or whatever, but people just disappear in the woods. Like that stuff does happen. Like missing 411 is like that is accurate in the sense that like yeah, people go missing in the woods all the time. They wander off the path that they're not supposed to, and they get eaten by monsters or animals or whatever. it happens, but all
that's
that
the premise of Access Unseen.
yeah, it's like
Basically.
you're just a person that's like
Except
missing.
you have a bow.
Yeah.
It's like me processing my childhood trauma of being out in the woods.
You got lost in the wood once, and you're like, I found a bow and I found magical powers, and then after I got out of
There's
the woods, I
creatures,
lost
there's a
them.
Sasquatch.
Yeah, so
It's a-
I did get in trouble in 5th grade for writing all these like horror stories, like oh, there's like ghosts and monsters in my backyard.
see that. Okay, see that's man. I'm okay. I gotta collect my thoughts. That's because I'm thinking. So us in our childhood, right? They see that kind of thing, right? You're a kid, you're 5th grade, you're writing like you're showing like monsters with their heads cut off and drawing them on your notebooks, right? You got horror stories, and they see it as like, oh, this kid is like troubled, like he's obviously going through something. He's trying to work out their trauma. It's like, no, I just like really dig horror. Whereas like had they taken that right and then put you in some kind of like special school right for kids it'd be a completely different person, and instead it's like
Yeah.
no, this is just something that I wanted to do, and now you're making a career out of it, right? So it's just like my kid does the same thing right now where he's just like he's drawing so many skibbity toilets, dude. I swear to God, it's like it is. I don't know how I ended up in the skibbity universe, but I'm there. Okay,
because you enabled it.
I did.
Brain rot.
At first, it was funny. It was a bit. And then I started watching the videos, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of depth here. Okay, there's a whole storyline going on.
So much depth.
They can't watch the ones nowadays because they're fucking biting people's heads off and shit. And it's like super gory. It's the new Half-Life
Michael
engine.
Bay's making a movie.
And I'm in the skibbity universe, dude. My kids won't.
Darkest timeline.
But it's like,
How are they gonna get away with that though? Because it's
I
like
don't
based off of
know.
Half-Life.
I don't know.
Sure, they'll change it so it's not Half-Life NPCs, and then it's fine.
Yeah, and I'm
Whole thing is
assuming
weird.
I'm assuming they're not going to use Half-Life resources to make the movie. They're probably just going to make the story within.
Or maybe they will, and Gabe gets another yacht out of it.
Oh my gosh.
Where was I going with that? Anyways, there's
no
no
telling, dude.
there's cemetery in our
Childhood trauma,
backyard.
forest,
yeah.
monsters.
We're turning it
Access
into
Unseen plot.
Yeah, we're turning it into a garden right now. We got a garden going too.
Oh yeah, cemetery in the back of your.
Oh yeah, my kid's
Yeah.
like being
Good
weird, like not
nutrients.
being weird. He's just drawing what he loves to draw right now, and like he just like. And I'm worried that some teacher at school is going to be like, "Your kid's drawing some disturbing things." I just want you to be aware. I was like, no, he doesn't have anything to be traumatized by currently. So, I mean, he's just having fun. You know, let him have
I think
fun.
as long as you have their back, I think that's fine.
I say lean
Right.
into it. You know.
It's always going to be teachers and a bunch of normies who think it's like terrible and whatever. People should just embrace whatever they think is cool.
Yeah,
long
unless
as
there's
you're not
actual
harming
trauma.
anybody.
Yeah, unless there's actual trauma there, in which like go get
Right.
help and whatnot. But there's
Right.
he again.
Again, it's
he
like, why
never
do we have
leaves
to
the
make those
house,
disclaimers?
so-
Because that's like common. Like, as long as no one's getting hurt, like, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I got 2 questions for you. You've worked on established IPs. So if you were given the keys, like someone comes to you and says, hey, Nate, make this. What is an established IP? It could be movie, TV, video game, comic, anything that you would be like, hey, that would be fun to do. You get to do your unique take on anything, but it has to be a pre-established IP.
Take your time. It's okay.
That's tough.
It's tough.
A lot of good ones there.
You seem to be a guy who like leans a little bit more into like horror or horror adjacent things.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think my pick might be Hitman,
Yeah.
Okay.
just because I like those games so much, and it's like of all the games that are out there that I haven't worked on, what's one that I would like to work on, and that's definitely pretty high up on the list.
Would you what would you do to make it what spin would you give it? What Nate spin would you give it?
Hitman Souls game.
I think the Hitman formula with multiple people would be interesting.
Ooh, okay.
It's like a multiplayer, like co-op version, or
So
is
like
it-
Yeah,
like the
co-op.
world of assassination, but like the person trying to get there the quickest.
No, I feel like you would. Well, I mean, you could do it lots of ways, right? Like you could be competing to do the hits, or you
Okay.
could be working together, like
like a
one
Hateful
dude-
Eight kind of situation, in which like you and like 7 other people are trying to kill this target first, and you can't be discovered, and if you get discovered, you're out of the match, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing, but
Which is your favorite Hitman?
I mean, the latest trilogy is amazing. Like previously, I would have said Blood Money because Blood
that
Money
was
was amazing and has
Dude,
like
Blood
one of the
Money
best
ruled.
endings ever.
Ruled, man. Oh my gosh. I did like 2, and then
Yeah, two is good.
What was the third one? Contracts?
Yeah, maybe. I
'Cause
didn't
two
play
is-
Contracts a lot.
2 was Silent Assassin, and then I think it was Contracts. Blood Money. Like I was like,
Blood
dude,
Money is ace.
It's so good.
I'll be
I
honest.
replayed the. He's never played one.
I don't know anything about the Hitman universe.
Jacob doesn't like stealth games because they require patience.
Hey, no, what I've seen about the Hitman games, like you don't really have to have stealth. You just have to be really
No.
good at like killing people and like getting out of there as fast as you can. So
It's a comedy game. That's my take on it. It's all just like stuff goes wrong. So you're like chucking muffins at dudes' heads.
Yeah,
And killing
dressed
them
up
with it,
in- dressed
apparently,
up in a
'cause-
duck outfit,
Yeah.
throwing toasters at people while they're in the duck.
Someone saw me. Wrench in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. I have not played the latest one, but I did play the previous ones.
Like
The-
Absolution.
No, no, I did. I played because they remade the like one into the latest one, right?
Yeah, now they're all packaged together.
Yeah, so I have not played the latest iteration, but I'd played everything up to that before that.
Oh, okay.
And I really enjoyed it. It was very. It took me a minute to like get acclimated to like how drastically different, but still the same. It kind of was, but yeah, I really dug it. The second question is, what advice would you give people who want to do video games as a career? They want to get into making video games.
I think the biggest thing is to start making actual games and not parts of it. Because some people are going to be like, oh, I want to be an artist and whatever, and they're just doing that thing. But I think you learn a lot from actually shipping things. And I learned a lot from like making Half-Life mods and stuff like that. And that puts you in a much better position to like actually be working with a team and like doing it for real as a job. Because just you miss out on a lot if you're just like making art in a vacuum.
Also, very true. It's too bad that we missed the sale. Is it still going?
Oh, for the Access Unseen, I
Yeah.
think that ended on Monday.
Yeah, this will go out on Friday. So, you should pick it up. Everybody that listens should pick it up. And is the bundle still there or no?
The bundle is still there, so you can actually get it. The Access Unseen is $25 normally, but then I have that bundle that includes the other game, Deedlee Carkour, which actually makes it free, really. It like
Okay.
moves the price down, I think $24.92 or whatever, so it's slightly less to get a second game.
I was like, even in the deal was out, and I was like, you're literally like paying less to get a whole game for free. Like it's like insane. So
Yeah.
Definitely
But,
check out
I mean, at that
Deedlee
point, they're
Carkour as
getting
well.
both.
Yeah.
Because that one is like, yeah, $3 on its own.
I just remembered. So there's the Steam user reviews. How does that work on your end? Like, does it matter? I mean, obviously it matters, but does it really matter when people review bomb, or people don't like something? How much does that affect? Is there an algorithm within Steam or anything like that that pushes it? Like, how
Yeah.
does that affect you?
So my understanding of this is that basically there's no visibility at all until you get to like 10 reviews, and then it'll start to show it to a bunch of people. But basically, past that, Steam doesn't care too much about positive or negative reviews unless it's very negative. Then it like kind of buries it.
Okay.
But that said, it affects purchasing habits for sure. If someone sees like, oh, your game is like negative, like people are not going to buy it as much. But Deedlee Do Carkour, last I checked, is still 100% positive.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, dude.
Access Unseen is 81%, which I'm pretty happy with that. So on average, I guess
I mean,
my
if you
games
don't
are
like-
above 90%.
If you don't like Deedlee do Carkour, like it's just like then get out of here because it's a hilarious time. It looks so fun. I can't wait to play it. But it's at the same time, it's like, what do you got to be mad about, dude? It's just a guy who made a game out of Play-Doh. Get over it, you know.
Yeah, I figured you could only feel so bad about it if it costs you $3, and it's hard, but it's supposed to be hard. It's
Yeah.
it's like getting over it and stuff like
Hey,
that.
they
Like
weren't
it's totally a skill
complaining-
challenge.
They weren't complaining
Like
about
Hotline
Angry
Miami.
Birds. They weren't complaining about that Flappy Bird game, how hard
Right.
it was, right? So it's like, okay, come on, guys. What are we complaining about here? You know?
I think there's a fine line in difficulty, but that's another conversation for another day. I mean, I think that some
It just
games are-
depends on the kind of game.
Ooh,
Correct.
okay. I got one last question from myself. How often do you clip your fingernails? Because I'm curious because like I think I wait until they get a little bit white, right? But then it's like, are we supposed to have like long like fingernails? Because technically that's the reason we have fingernails, right? Is like because we're supposed to be digging in the dirt and stuff. But then I don't like my fingernails to be too long because I feel weird. So.
Well, do you need to dig in the dirt or claw people's eyes out?
Well, I mean,
'Cause
we're building a garden and we got a cemetery in the backyard. So I've got to bury bodies and I've got to bury flowers.
by
So
hand?
yeah,
Do
but
you,
I mean,
do you
yeah.
not have a shovel?
I like to do it
you
traditional
not use
style.
gloves. There's
I
DMA.
don't like using gloves actually when I garden. I don't know. It's hard to.
It's very hard to grab stuff. Like you can't grab
Yeah.
the like, and it's especially if you got like seedlings, right? You're trying to grab seedlings with gloves. You ever tried to grab seedlings with gloves, Alex? You ever
Yeah,
tried
it's a
that?
pain in the butt.
You're gonna kill it. You're gonna kill it. You're gonna pinch its head
I
off.
have
So,
that weird thing. I don't like my hands to be dirty. I never have.
I guess you could wear like rubber gloves. But yeah, I didn't know if like is there like do you have a schedule for when you cut your nails? Because I don't know.
No, it's just once it starts to bother me.
Fair enough. Okay.
Have you ever been asked that
Yeah,
question?
I have not.
I
I have
just-
schedules for lots of random things, like, but not that. I guess.
I've been finding that scheduling is like it helps, you know, especially like when you have ADHD and like, oh, you have a schedule and stuff like that. It helps.
Did you tell he has ADHD?
I got to get back to it, honestly, scheduling. But
Yeah,
But
I'm
anyways.
huge into scheduling. I scheduled everything out for the Access Unseen and Deedlee Do Carkour. I have whole task tracking and whatnot.
I respect it so much, man. That's awesome. I need more of that, but it's a conversation for another time. But when you do a comic book, there's a lot more hands in the honey jar, so you can't. You're sort of at the beholden of other people. So.
oh yeah, here's our
and
guest today is Nathan Purkeypile, by the way, everybody.
We said that.
I don't think we ever actually introduced
we
him. I
did.
think we asked him about his last name. We asked him what he preferred to be called. I don't think we ever actually introduced him. So that's our guest. He did. He has the game out now. It's called Access Unseen. It's great. He also has Deedlee Do Carkour. It's what did you say? $3.99 on Steam.
Pick it up on Steam.
$2.99.
$2.99 on Steam, and it's if you pair it with the Access Unseen, you basically get it for free. So and it's like
Do you have any plans to port those?
I don't know about Deedlee Do Carkour, the Access Unseen, possibly. I will
how
have things to say about that at some point.
how
Okay.
easy would it be to just flip? Is it like a flip of the switch to make it a mobile game? Deedlee Do Carkour? Is it?
I haven't poked into mobile.
I don't-
yet.
I don't
It's
know.
like a whole other thing.
Yeah, and
I
then
don't know.
then you got to battle with fucking iPhone and Apple and shit. And like they're gonna take like 70% or some shit. I don't know. The Epic was mad about it at some point. And they had a whole. I don't know if you remember that about 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They were all
Yeah,
yelling at
that
each other.
lawsuit.
Now I can't play Fortnite on my iPad. It's like, what am I gonna do?
You finally can. It went back up like
shit.
yesterday or something.
All right, well,
They finally won that lawsuit and then yelled
I'll
at
do that
Apple
later.
until they.
I'll do it later. Don't worry about it right now. I'll do it later. So
But anyways, we won't keep you much longer. We know you got kids, you got things to do. You got to get back to patching the Axis Unseen. But it was a pleasure to have you on here and shoot the shit for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, I guess where can people find
oh
you?
yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Purkeypile. I think it's also that on Blue Sky. All my social links are also on the side of the Steam pages for the Axis Unseen and Deedlee do Carkour. I have a Discord and whatnot. It's all there.
JustPerkyGames.com.
Yes, justperkygames.com.
And it also has your Twitter, your Instagram, your YouTube, TikTok.
It's
Yep.
currently
Twitch.
scrolling across the screen right now. If you're watching the YouTube version, I'm sure that I added it in.
So this picture that's on your it looks like you went to like Chernobyl.
That was actually from Burning Man. So it's in the middle of a dust storm wearing the full mask and everything.
All right.
Is Burning Man the one where they're out in the desert and they like burn an effigy and whatever? It's like super
Yeah.
super wicked and whatnot and
I would say, well, it's all over the place for what it is, because there's like art hippies and EDM people and just weird art people.
Wait, then
It's
what's-
all kinds of stuff. I fought in a Thunderdome.
that's like a play. I thought it was in a movie.
That was a movie, but then they build a real Thunderdome there, and then you're like strung up just like in the movies, but then you're beating the crap out of each other with foam bats. I
That sounds
gave my friend a
awesome.
bloody nose.
That sounds great. Why aren't we doing
Yeah,
this
that-
more often?
It was amazing. That's like one of my bucket list things that I didn't think I would ever get to check off.
So what is Woodstock then?
I mean, that's just like a music festival.
Is that not the same
Bur-
thing?
I
No,
apologize.
Burning Man is basically like a city that they build out in the desert in Nevada out of nothing. And then it has like weird art cars and installations, and everybody has like their own villages doing different things.
I'm starting to think I need to get out more
Yeah,
often.
he's very much a recluse. He doesn't get out very often.
That sounds awesome. I want to beat somebody
Yeah.
up in a Thunderdome. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, as long as you can deal with being in the middle of the desert, which I think is awesome personally.
I'm in love
The
with
dust storms are awesome.
If it's
This-
over 100 degrees, I'm okay.
If it's under 30, I'm okay. I prefer it to be cold. Anyways, it was great to have you on.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Talk to you later.